This video is sponsored by ExpressVPN. ExpressVPN is a simple tool that provides you a safe and enjoyable online experience. It can unlock your favorite apps and websites no matter where you are, like in an office or school setting, or even visiting areas where certain services are blocked. That's because ExpressVPN has over 3,000 servers in 160 locations spanning across 94 countries. Accessing region-locked content from services like Netflix, Hulu, Disney+, and HBO Max, amongst many others, is simple and fast. ExpressVPN also shields all your internet traffic with strong encryption and has a strict no activity or connection logs policy. You're protected on any network, including public Wi-Fis in cafes, airports, and hotels. ExpressVPN is available on Windows, Mac, iOS, Android, Linux, and even routers, so your gaming consoles or smart TVs can also benefit from it. Use the link expressvpn.com/JaganX to find out more, and to receive a limited time offer of receiving an extra 3 months when you sign up for the 12-month plan. Hey guys, welcome to another session of Epic 7. This is my Guild War and RTA mashup. This is gonna be part 3. For Guild War, I'm only gonna showcase 2 fights since, again, as Guild War is pretty much the same meta over and over. There's not really much to show unless there's something interesting. This team, defense team with Peira, Rimuru, and Huayang is one of the meta teams that you might see around. This team that I'm using here is like 100% safe. You don't really need Cleary on anything. I mean, maybe a defense artifact if you want, like some kind of like Noble Oath or something. But I have her on Warhorn just to make S10 stronger, and my Crow is on Holy Sack. Just in case anything happens, like somehow Peira, I don't know, RNLs and stuns him or something like that. So since Peira can't hit Specteni and Peira won't hit F Cleary, she might get an RNL and stun a Crow. So you kind of want to have him on Holy Sack because you want that extra kill. I've done this team many times, so this is not like you know, a good case scenario. So trust that team. The second team was just interesting for me to begin with, so I wanted to showcase this. This is definitely not a meta team, at least I've never seen it before. That's actually really slow Conqueror Lilius, because my Cecilia is only 265 speed, and I beat her on the CR timeline, so that's pretty slow. But 265 Seaside should be able to, or Summertime, should be able to beat the 300 speed Sea Lilius. Assuming there's no Politis on the other team. So my Zahhak is you know, it's built for Guild War. Ideally with an attack buff, it could kill any Violet. I don't think I even, oh, I did swap to Symbol of Unity for this one, just in case I didn't kill. But generally I have him on an Oath key because Symbol of Unity is usually on my Lionheart Sirmia.
Resist as much as you can. It's only natural for an inferior being to die.
So this is the second one, also very interesting defense team, very unconventional. The second team was definitely a bait, and I was already predicting that it's a Moonlight Dreamblade RB, but I wanted to try cleaving it anyway. You guys will see what happens. But I included it in it because it wasn't perfect. So this Celine actually had the sword, her artifact, but it didn't proc. So it wasn't max level. It may have actually killed my Rimuru, I'm not quite sure. If it procced attack buff, it may have killed him. But the idea was to proc her so that my Rimuru would be able to like attack her and steal the attack buff actually. But it didn't really work out that way, so I was kind of worried about this because now Rimuru is kind of prone. Well, I guess he wouldn't be actually. There would be no damage. So right here I'm just thinking of who I should hit. Because we kind of got all our baits in order. I had to do the immortality here just in case he picks the 50-50 and he goes for Celine instead of my Angel of Light. because both of them were not damaged, so it's a 50-50. And if he did 50% damage there and then A Robbie hit me, I would have died. So this was also a flaw to this. I wasn't thinking too much. I have the evasion buff, so that was a very dangerous move for me. I had the evasion buff on Celine, so if no counter, she can't retaliate. So that's a very scary thing. But at least she's missing and injuring at the same time. So what's that? The good thing is that makes Celine even harder to kill. It's just that I can't proc the counter, which is really scuffed. So this one was like a weird fight, but I kind of, you know, when I was doing it, I kind of just felt like putting those heroes together. Now here's the funny part, right? So anyways, I was really confident, of course, I would outspeed the Rose. That was no question. But the issue was Moonlight Dreamblade. So I've been loving Edda, and you'll see me use Edda again in World Arena when we get to the World Arena section. And Edda has no issue killing RB double turn, but except I didn't land a defense break, and we have LQC's passive as well, and it's a really tanky RB, but no damage. So this was a bit risky here. So I'm thinking right now, okay, I'm probably not gonna kill the RB, even though her S3 mod is higher than the S2. But basically what we want to do is not kill the RB and make sure I have the skill null. So I would have the skill null on at least 2 heroes. But yeah, check out what happens. It's pretty crazy. Ideally, the Edda would have had a skill null here too, but we did lose it because he countered. So as you can see, he couldn't even kill Edda. My Edda's 8,000 HP, so there's like really no damage. It's all banking on the counter with the with the attack buff. So it was a bit risky here because every single one of my skills here are just gonna miss. So, but check out how clutch Edda is. So this grants her a skill null. So that's very cool.
Someone could die.
And then at least he didn't counter, and then again, we got the turn. This was a very clutch Guild War fight. I thought I'd include it anyway, since it was, I guess, quote unquote, kind of scuffed. Actually, no, it's not even air quotes. It is scuffed. It is scuffed. All right, so we're jumping into the RTA potion. So just like in part 2, I'm taking out all of that sequence of, you know, who you're facing, the verses, and then also the first couple picks. Because again, it's just like, it depends on where you are, but the picks are pretty much going to be the same. So I won't change that format until I start seeing some interesting first and second pick combinations. But more than likely, again, if you haven't watched my other videos, you're gonna get the first couple same picks on both sides. You're gonna see similarities, and then everything else is gonna be counter pick, or trying to pin your opponent to a force ban or a tricky situation. So as you can see here, I'm already opting to cleave. I just didn't want to draft an Edda too early. I think I do draft Edda here. I didn't want to draft Edda too early because I didn't want him to choose a Violet. I'd rather him go neutral like the Sage Ball here.
It's been so long.
So in terms of this cleave, like Cecilia and Edda would be able to kill everything. The only tricky part was the Politis. If he banned like my Ran and I don't have immunity buff, it's going to be tricky because Cecilia will proc Politis, and then Politis can stun me. So he did ban the right one in my opinion. Yeah, so I had to ban Politis. If she was on Abyssal Crown, I'd be doomed. The Sage Ball was on Bastion. So it was gonna be hard for me to debuff him.
How incompetent.
So with the Caesarea passive, it pushes Edda once, and then this pushes Edda twice, and then Edda can push back, and then Edda can push forward. So Edda is very, very powerful. But of course, if you already watching cleave World Arena players, or you cleave yourself, you know that. But for players who are just like, they don't know what to do, Edda is very, very powerful. But you have to combine with Peyra, Ran, Sea Lilius, that type of opener. If you can get Caesarea in to get that passive on, or trigger some sort of like Rem counter with ML Kawazu, Edda would also be really, really crazy there. So it's just a lot of interplay with the buffed Edda.
May I help you?
So again, Sage Ball is good, but he gets tricky because you have your sleep chance is not high enough, and I got very lucky there. I think there was an immunity check on the Caesarea too. I had to kill off Hua-Yang here, although Sage Ball may have been the better choice. Ideally I would have stunned 2, but I only stunned 1. That was really fortunate. So Peyra with RNL coming out of it. So one thing I will say is that the I will in these fights actually, I will start removing RNL off Peyra, because RNL on Peyra is very tricky versus Rimuru if you can't ban Rimuru. And also you cycle out of your damage shear buff really quick. So she survived that even though he had 18,000 HP, my Caesarea only had 10,000 because of Peyra's escort buff. It's just too good. It's like if RNL procs like on your turn almost every single time, then it could be good, but Goblet of Oath is better, of course, and I don't have that. I'm currently on Oath Key, not in this fight, but in the next couple fights I'll be on Oath Key, because I feel that is no RNG on my side, and plus I don't have Goblet of Oath, so Oath Key is my choice. If she can land on the Rimuru, it's huge. So again, jumping into the next fight here, as you can see, already a Peyra and the Politis to counter the Ran. So yeah, the Ran, yeah, Ran and even the Rimuru cut. Already going with Rem, which is pretty good, I suppose, but Rem these days are, you gotta be very lucky, right? It's really asking to be lucky on defense. I've tried to use Rem on counter, I've still got cleaved. So it's very, very luck based. Oh, it seems that in this fight I actually duck out of cleave. Yeah, if I go ML Kawarak, I'm ducking out of cleave.
Now try me. Don't chicken out.
So usually Ran is kind of like he's not useless, even like not cleaving, because he does do defense break. So like I actually didn't mind this setup. I think he bans Ran, right? I think he does. So anyways, he figures that, you know, he has 2 fire, so no worries, he could keep the Violet in. It's very clear. I picked the Violet and he picked Hua-Yang. And then most likely Symbol of Unity, Lionheart Sirmia.
Run before it's too late.
Yeah, so my SSB is, I think I did feature her in the last video as well. She's on Injury and Bloodstone. SSB is definitely like needed in bruiser fights. She's very, very good last pick. If they don't have Rowana, it doesn't force you to have to ban Rowana or another threat. SSB is like insane. Like she's almost a must ban. I actually don't understand why he banned the Ran there. I feel that it doesn't really, like, I think that might have been the worst ban, to be honest. I don't know, maybe I'm not thinking clearly. But I had nothing really to go with the Ran. The Ran would have just died. I guess he probably thought like ice versus fire. He didn't want that disadvantage maybe. But if I was him, I would have banned the SSB. So yeah, here, this is the good example, right? When I talked about RNL, right? So he didn't notice, well, he RNL after the S3. So now he's like, Or yeah, he went S3 first, yeah.
Guiding light, illuminate the unknown.
So check this out. Like, this was like pure luck, right? So he really out RNG'd himself with the RNL. Because now he gave my Violet the escort buff with her barrier. Now, I didn't really think about this. Like, I wasn't big brain, right? I didn't think this would happen. But you check out what happens. This is actually insane. Literally, that steal from Rimuru is what is going to win this match. I'm gonna say that right now. It's not my big brain. It's his own RNG proccing my Rimuru, which, you know, I comment like Rimuru, no matter how much you spam him, he's so good. But he's so bad in terms of like, he's too good, you know? So I did that because I needed to cleanse that attack buff. That was higher priority than caring about her like cleansing it. So getting rid of the attack buff is higher priority.
Situation is critical.
So you can see that the one, my Violet was actually very low HP. So Huayang's not gonna really get the benefit from that damage.
Look at my sword, not my face.
So here, because I'm just like, okay, I have that escort buff. I want to keep that escort buff up as much as possible. Like right now I have a huge advantage. No knight. He doesn't really have a knight, but he has Payra. But I have no knights, so I needed that escort buff. Check out how much this paid off. It's crazy. So like that hardly did any damage. He was defense broken though. So technically his defense buff, he was actually doing negative damage. So defense buff is 60%, defense break is 70%. So she was actually missing defense. So therefore her damage was not good. But the escort buff really helped that fight. With the proof of valor on Rimuru, we have damage share, and we have damage mitigation. So Rimuru was also really hard to kill off. He's gonna spend a ton of time trying to kill off Rimuru. And that cleanse on the SSB was like perfect because now she's ready to attack.
Grant me power. You do not understand.
And everybody has immunity. Emma Kalrick also broken, of course.
I'll show you what I've got.
So Indri SSB did a couple skills and they've already lost quite a bit of health. But it makes these kills much quicker. So that means anytime SSB with an attack buff, of course, shoots off the S2, they're likely to die in the next hit, even though the damage is not great. So there is that kind of that balancing out with SSB. You could go lifesteal, you could go full damage, like double crit immunity. You can go with Rengar specialty drink. There's all pros and cons, and that's why SSB I think is a very versatile hero. Must build. Next one I actually faced down in terms of facing Master.
If you're scared, run.
So this was kind of fun as well, this fight. So he got 2 cleansers, right? I took the Sea Lilius because I wanted to ensure that I had a way to boost Edda and then therefore Caesarea. So in this combo, whether he bans Ran or not, Edda's getting a ton of push. So all of my damage really is coming from Caesarea, Edda, and then maybe Rimuru. So at the moment he's actually drafting right into the cleave. I would just ban the last pick or Payra.
Shall I test my knowledge?
Yeah, I banned Payra just because I didn't know if he was gonna ban the Ran. My Ran is decent enough to compete with Payra. My Sea Lilius isn't. So I had to ban the Payra. I had no choice. So I had to take a gamble here. My Ran actually has 80 effectiveness because he's on Effect Ring. But most Sage Ball, if they're running on the Bastion of Hope, I'm not debuffing that. Because they would have over 180 and maybe 200 resist. But however, on the other side is that my Cecilia is 200 effect. So generally they only need something like 300 ER, which probably won't work.
The icy touch of death shall embrace you.
There's no reason to.
So the Dilibet pushback was really good, and then the amount of debuffs that was actually stuck on them was also really good. So Dilibet wasn't able to, you know, recycle her fighting spirit. This was questionable, that damage. I was really surprised, and I think he was too. But we did have full immunity, so the only thing he would have benefited from that one would have been to get the full health on the Sage Ball.
Can you even reach me?
I swear.
So he resists, and that's very unlucky because I don't think ML Kaorik would have 300 ER. No, I just got 15%, but whatever. Because I knew the Hua Yang was gonna die anyway. I had vigor and attack buff, so without a bomb, I didn't need that on Hua Yang. It would have been a kill on the S3. I'm actually thinking that the Sage Ball probably didn't have. It is 27,000 HP. That's pretty good. The Sage Ball probably didn't have his S3 maxed. That's what I think happened. Because I think with his HP loss, I should have died. The dual attack on the Ran was very fortunate, but like, I don't know. I think they were so low on HP that with Ran and Lilius being that fast, they would have died anyway. So anyways, who knows? The dual attack, I mean, RNG is RNG in this game. Sometimes you lose, sometimes you win with it. This one was a really funny one. So, I don't really draft Pillis, but versus like a Violet or Rem, sometimes I draft her. This fight is actually really good. This is a Solitarius showcase. Actually, on stream, as I'm making this recording, on stream tonight, a couple of the guys were asking, hey, do you have Solitaria built? These guys are all RTA players. And I'm like, yeah. And so we were talking about it, and she's really disgusting. She's really strong. I talked about that during her balance patch. If you guys watch me on YouTube, you would know, you might recollect that. And yeah, she's definitely really strong. Like, there's been a lot of fights. If you watch all of my RT videos this season so far, it's like Solitaria. It's not even gear gap. It's just the mechanics that she brings. It's pretty incredible. So check this out. So that's not a immunity Rimuru there. I think he resists, but there's that RNG I was talking about. Yeah, he resisted. He resisted the stun. Gave them full immunity and barrier from Solitaria, but that didn't really matter. For my fight, it didn't really matter. At the most, it would have just stopped my Pillis from provoking Violet or something, but it doesn't really matter. So I really needed that knight. I knew I was going into this like potentially dangerous. I needed a knight because he had a knight. So I only try to cleave when I feel like it's a good opening to cleave. I'm trying to learn that. Of course, it's pretty hard to tell sometimes what you can sneak through. So I did this, not because I can provoke, but because I needed the barrier. I needed as much barrier as possible on that A Ravi, because I knew that he was gonna go for it. Although I have to say, like, if he missed, did he miss that one? No, he didn't, because he got the flat damage. It would have been really hard for him to kill the Hua Yang anyway, though. So, because he already used the S3 on Rylet, and Rylet's not going to build up focus if Solitaria is hidden, and he has nothing to knock out Solitaria. So that's what makes Solitaria in this fight so good. And I think to be honest, I think the player like underestimated Solitaria because he banned Peyra, right? So like it wouldn't make sense. He had double green. Like I think Solitaria was the ban, or maybe one of my DPS. But keeping Solitaria in was really risky for him. And I'll be brutally honest, before the fight started, I actually forgot that Violet was a focus-based hero. So, like, he doesn't build focus, so that means he can't get the most powerful S3.
No matter what.
He would need to build 5 focus to get the max damage, and he can't build any because Solitaria is on the field. So in this fight, it's a real good Solitaria showcase because it's double mechanic that she's trying to suppress, right? So like, you see how hard he's trying to kill that A-Ravi. With the mitigation that I have, I don't even have a defense buff from Pilis's passive. Yeah, that was pretty good. In retrospect, to be honest, I should have just used like ML Crozet. Like, I don't think Pilis really did anything there. ML Crozet would have been better.
Are you sure?
So yeah, usually when I'm seeing like ML Kaorik, Hua Yang, it's like, and especially on the second and third pick, it's usually good for cleave. That's my usual opening, because then he has two slots to counter cleave. And honestly, I've been on the side of being cleaved. It's not easy to counter cleave, not to me. I think everyone that I know, if they're humble enough, they know that they've died to cleave. And cleave players die all the time, but cleave players have an excuse, right? It's like, oh, I'm just YOLOing, I'm doing it really quick. Whereas bruiser players, it kind of sucks when you get cleaved. So I definitely like have sympathy for it. But one of the reasons why I went cleave is like so that I don't have to get cleaved. So I'm always kind of prepared to deal with cleave while being a cleave myself. But I think it's gonna change a lot when we get to when I get to like Champ Plus, because then the player base is gonna be more experienced. So I won't be able to pull off such flashy, cool fights, in my opinion. But maybe I'll try. So he left the Rimuru here, and the Celine was honestly bait. Like, I didn't really care about the Celine because we had Rimuru, and we potentially had like, you know, a high attack hero, which is Caesarea, and its counter element. Except here was the thing. I was like, what? He didn't proc the sword artifact, even though he was on the random EE. No, it kind of sucked. It kind of sucked. But it kind of sucked for me there too, because I gave her the attack buff, but she didn't allow my Rimuru to steal it and attack and jump and cut. So it was pretty what? Since that artifact does proc on every single non-attack skill and it's not turn-based like her S2.
Finally, we can return to our mission.
But yeah, he didn't know it was over. So this guy's going Ran right away, so he's going cleave against me, right? So, you know, every cleaver is different, and the more experienced the cleaver is, the easier it is for them to outthink your counter draft, which is very, very tricky. That's why I do find when I'm drafting against cleave, they usually do take slightly longer, and you see myself here too, right? Because you have to work out every single scenario, like what is in a cleaver's arsenal.
I hear the footsteps of destruction.
So I felt RB here was pretty safe because he would need to have like some way of either extincting him or potentially like an ML haste or something, and that might be a waste for his draft because he needs to kind of commit now, I think. So I've also kind of like Solitaria when they don't have some kind of conduit between Ran and the DPS. So if they don't have a Caesarea or Edda, Solitaria is pretty solid there because then she can pin down one of the heroes that are kind of lacking in speed. Like maybe a DPS or something. Although I have to say Solitaria could be easily countered here where I have her. She's not exactly good for cleave. If this person had committed to the cleave, I think he does commit though. I forgot what I do.
There is no salvation.
Alright, he went with Kayron. That was a really interesting one. So I wanted to take the Edda, even though it didn't really make sense for me, because if he took out my Peyra, the Edda wouldn't work. But Edda would have been good to just kill Kayron in general, unless that Kayron was ER. So this one was okay, because then now he's kind of locked to not allowing himself to. Well, I think he lost the draft. Like once the Kayron was chosen and the Edda was chosen, I had Celine in. There was really nothing he could do with his openers. If he went with the regular just S3, then my Solitaria would get the kill, or my RB would revive and he'd be dead anyway. So he had to ban like one of them, and it's just probably too hard to decide. My Solitaria is relatively quick, so it's just enough to cut the usual DPS that you see on screen there, outside of Ran. This is not the first time I've done Solitaria in terms of that position there. Wait, that sounds really degen. So that's a hidden Easter egg for this video. The previous one was me picking my nose, or I said I picked my nose. Yeah, so Solitaria is pretty solid here.
Whether you win or lose.
Yeah, he couldn't risk the S3. Yeah, so it wouldn't really matter who he kills here.
All I can give you is do not expect mercy.
If he got the turn.
Princess is worn out. Escort me to my chambers, please.
Are you my next target?
I never fight a losing battle.
So this guy I actually fought when I was in Challenger, or when he was in Challenger in this video. I didn't mean to include him twice, but his playstyle for this fight was drastically different, and I think I used a much different fight against him as well. But yeah, so he went with Rowana on the second pick there, and that's relatively a weak pick. Like Solitaria, I get it. Like into Solitaria, you just feed him, and then I think there was an issue because like. Well, you'll see. I will say though, actually, I remember how the fight goes now. This is a gear gap thing, definitely. So yeah, there's no way my Solitaria would have beat the Peyra. That's a given. Even players who don't have insanely fast speed gear will be able to outspeed the Solitaria. I did resist that. I do have a ER build on my Solitaria, but the immunity check I think is what helped there, because my Cowrick actually had near the same amount of ER as my Solitaria, but he got double debuffed. So I think that was an immunity check on top of the ER, making it hard to strip. This wasn't necessary in my opinion though. Like if I was stripped, this would have worked as long as the ML Surmia didn't resist. So the ML Surmia resisting there would have probably been the issue. Although she would only be able to do single target damage. So this was an interesting play. Like he saw that the ML Surmia, because of the speed down, she wasn't getting that turn with Amelia's push. But this was interesting too, because like, you know, generally what I hear is like, oh, Strays doesn't work anymore, right? But against like very slow teams, who doesn't have a fast DPS follow-up, I mean, he can work. In this case, I wasn't expecting to do the S2, but if you know how this S2 works, if you have the higher attack, it's a strip, like, ignore resist. So if you have a higher attack, it's good. And just notice that it also stripped two buffs, right? So it removed Peyra's damage share buff, Escort. So he lost the DPS and it was over. So it was a weird fight. Like, I don't think you would see this draft. The Rowana second pick was a weird one. And then it was just the right picks. So that's it for this video. This one I meaningfully kept it shorter than the usual ones. If you guys watched to the end, thank you for watching. I'm gonna end this here. If you guys have Discord, check out the Discord server. Follow me on Twitter. Subscribe to YouTube if you haven't. And again, like I said, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. If you want to see more content from me, I started a new YouTube channel dedicated to uploading my stream VODs called Casual Face Roll. Currently doing an in-depth playthrough of Elden Ring with over 30 hours of content so far. Oh, what the frick? You piece of stupid ball! Okay, can't let him have momentum. Oh, shoot! I got killed by a ball? A couple slimes. Although they are protecting treasure. Oh my goodness, there's way too many. Is this what? What? How? Arcade. Was this? It's that ball! The ball is there! He's coming! So if you want to see more, consider subscribing. Thanks.